Alright, what's up, yins guys? Time for another video. I was talking recently, I think yesterday, and out there in the actual world, out there, people around me about this subject. And I'm just gonna throw some random shit out there because I even said this to some of my friends even on social media, which is this true. My brother talking about it on social media, and I tell him how it is because he knew, stuff I used to be or whatever. And it's like how you're definitely not against anybody raising minimum wage. You're not against that at all. There are some people who are against it. I'm not against it. I'm not, I'm definitely not against it, but we're talking about the pros and cons, right? Every time somebody does do it, it's not for you. You're comfortable for a while. They do it to get you. Oh, they wait a little while, and then it's actually a thing where they ease you into paying more taxes. They want to raise the taxes because everybody that wants to do that, they're not doing it by the goodness of their heart. They want more money to give to their criminal friends, like the late George Carlin said. And what they're basically doing, you don't want to stick up for your employer that's an asshole. Well, you may have a good employer too. But what they're doing, if they're not milking you out of the tax, they can't milk you out of raising more taxes without milking your employer. I mean, say even if your employer, like, is a complete asshole, like you don't want to stick up for your employer, right? So the name of their game is to raise the minimum wage and make it a law. They're milking your employer first before they're milking you. You know what I mean? He got to pay more taxes. And say if you're into some of these lesser things, it depends what kind of work you're in. All the hell they do is they cut the labor. They cut somebody's job or lay them off to cut costs and make everybody else work harder. That has happened, but I'm still not against raising minimum wage. And no matter what fucking president you get in office, they can raise the minimum wage all they want to, but it still varies by what your employer is selling or manufacturing or whatever. I mean, you got damn near everything you could be selling fast food at a low level, but yet if it's a big franchise in a billion-dollar industry. Well, one of the examples, an industrial warehouse thing, even though it wasn't big steel mills or anything like that are gone from my area, if you get any factory jobs in my area, I was lucky enough, I was telling people, my brother, because we're talking about a restaurant that he goes to once in a while, this restaurant was actually practically my home. I lived across the street from it, and I lucked out. I started out as minimum wage, but I landed a job for a while in a warehouse, a factory, thing that happened to be a higher wage out of minimum wage. And I was strutting in that restaurant like a $1 million man. I felt like I was rich because they were giving profit sharing bonuses, 50-cent a year raises. Eventually, fast forward, they start cutting people's jobs and then getting rid of people too. Business slows down or whatever else happens with the company, I don't know. But the reason why I was making pretty damn good money, it was like a lot. I don't think somebody of us would even see that kind of money ever again. It was one of them jobs where you like to have, and I actually had for a while. When I was walking around smirking. See, I knew all my haters were watching. Long hair, they want to see me beaten down by the police and slammed around. My belongings may be seized and money, bank account seized. The old fogeyism. You got long hair. It's like, oh, how did he get a job like that? It's probably a front for marijuana or drug distribution. It's not. It's one of those warehouses probably, or maybe he's acting like he's going to a job. He's actually selling drugs. I love that shit. I was walking around with a smirk on my face. That's empowerment. But no matter who you are, empowerment is, I want to do a separate video talking about this. Empowerment is only whoever else runs shit. And if they can give you a job, it depends on what they're selling. Products and services make the world go round. So anyway, this job that I had, the reason why they were paying me this damn good money, I was getting like, every 2 weeks, I was getting like something like $1,800 because overtime about. Sometimes you work 10 hours or whatever too. And the items that I made, they were selling them for several $1,000s a piece. And if you got that far in this video, you know what they were? I don't know if any of you got relatives that drove trucks. If you have a relative or somewhere, I don't care who it is, uncle, father, brother or some neighbor, if they're a truck driver, you ask them what these are. You ever see on the back of any warehouse, well, anything, it can be any kind of a place of business. It can be department store, lumber store, any distributor, something they have where the semi-truck pulls up against the loading dock and unloads. Everybody has one on the door. There's these pads around the door that the truck pulls up against, and it keeps the weather out. There's different companies that make them. I worked for a company that used to make those. Make the 3 pads. It's build them. I also built crates because we sold some other stuff like bug screen doors for these. Any business, whether it can be other warehouses. Damn near, if you work in a warehouse, damn near every warehouse has them. Pads around the door. I don't care if you work in a factory. It could be any place of business that there's a semi it pulls up against. That's what I used to make, and I used to sell those for like several $1,000s a set. And then they'd be buying the bumpers for the trucks. The back of the truck would against the wall that the truck pulls up against too. So they don't wreck it against the cement wall. We sold those, and then they even sold the loading dock ramps. Well, we made a bug screen door. Then we made like a door that goes up and down that the part of the other department made. And then they have the crates for those, like a little motorized door that rolls up and down. Like people in the other department made those, and then you'd have the people building the crates for that. And those that were made out of some metal, where the welders put them together, and then you had people in the paint booth painting them. So anyway, when people buying all that shit, that's shit that sold for several $1,000s. And people that had warehouses, anything that they bought these, and that was selling, so they made a lot of money. That's why they were able to give profit sharing bonuses. But you get other smaller businesses, okay, if you got that far in this video that ain't a big franchise or smaller business, they should be, I don't know how to talk about this, because there are businesses that are really small that if they're paid minimum wage, but then what the fuck is worth them even working at all? I mean, what are they going to do it for 50 cents a day? So I don't know what the fuck to tell about those people. They saying, well, raising the minimum wage hurts small businesses. Well, if you got businesses that are small enough that they're not doing that well, they can't afford to pay one person, and they're not making more than they put in. I don't know what to tell those people. Maybe they're better off not hiring anybody doing all the shit themselves. But imagine, some of them under the minimum wage law, if you get somebody that can do something decent or whatever. But really, yeah, they can raise the minimum wage to a point. There's nothing wrong with that. But I think a lot of these places, they got the money, they're just bitching. But you got other businesses that are so small that they're damned either way. If they pay one person minimum wage, that's damn near all what they're making. I can understand some of that. A small business that's barely just getting off the ground, I don't know, they can work something out, some kind of exemptions. You tell me, that's totally different. But you're not around that enough to really know. You have to create a whole video of scenarios just for those people, But I'm saying in that scenario, it depends how much the company is like making or whatever. And well, you get some places that are a big franchise, okay, that they could be paying more, but they're a franchise, right? And they can stand to have them. And you get somebody like the fast food places and all them that, those bosses don't want to see the minimum wage raised on their workers, right? But yet, like, it's going to hurt them so much. But these people, they're a big franchise. Some are damn near global. Like they have franchises even outside the country. Oh, and they got CEOs and big, huge managers that get this ridiculous amount of money. Oh, well, anyway, I had relatives, and I had a sister that worked for a while at a food chain, a certain fast food chain. I ain't gonna reveal completely at all, but she declined to be this real fancy manager. She could have been one, because there's another thing I tell you. Some of these in these big management positions, some of these line of work, they pay you salary. Oh, it's a big salary, but at the same time, they don't have a fucking life. That no matter what time it is, they got to be there. That's kind of fucks them over too. So there's a scenario, they could be enjoying all this money. They make way more than you, and they're an asshole, but yet they don't have a fucking life. So, my sister had a chance one time to be one of those. She said, no fucking way, that other one. You could get in some levels. Then you get these CEOs that are paid to just not do shit. So you got these damn overpaid CEOs that don't even do shit, and then they're the ones bitching about raising the minimum wage. Then you'll have somebody disagree with me this side, telling me, I'm somebody that needs to get a haircut or whatever, too, but... And then, oh, geez, I could go on and on and on, but this is enough, but... Yeah, I really don't see anything like that wrong, except that you have to have products and services that sell, a lot real high. And one of the ones I worked for wasn't fast food. I manufactured items that they sold for several $1,000s a set. And but oh yeah, that's another important thing. I tell certain people too that raising minimum wage didn't do anything for me. That company was, I think, taking one of those other stances, like that. They told that one of the teachers when I went to college for a while, I took intro to business. It counted as an elective for one of my classes. That instead of getting unions, there's all this other shit. They teach textbook shit different year after year, but you hear all this shit about unions on news and all that. Instead of getting anybody wanting to unionize or do anything, you have these people take this other stance. And to keep people loyal, they were doing things for a while and giving you higher pay because they make all this money. They sell all this stuff for several $1,000s a set. And, of course, later on, eventually they get tired of paying it. They start little cutting people, and doing all kind of other shit and making some of them work harder. But even when you say a lot of these people have the money, and which is a shame, why is it that every fucking time that maybe somebody does raise the minimum wage, and yeah, the only reason they raise the minimum wage is they milk it out of the employer so they can milk the employer and you out of more tax money. That's the only reason it's for. Because they can't get more tax. The government can't get higher taxes off the worker of what he got. He's got to milk it out of your employer first. And then your employer maybe have more money and they're being a cheap ass, right? And they respond to that raise in minimum wage by cutting jobs and actually making everybody else work harder. They do that shit. Do you know what I mean? And then it's a total separate topic too. Now they want to spend millions of dollars in putting machines in stuff. Every single business, whether it's your Walmart or these fast food places, now they're phasing out actual people, and you get the thing, and somebody else that you don't even see throws your food out to you. You know what I mean? But yeah, they want to replace that with human beings. Stuff that you can't rely on anymore. Then you can go to customer service and try talking to a person. They give you press this if So nobody cares about the consumer anymore, and nobody cares about the worker that much anymore. Some of them act like they do for a while, but you're just a tool they got to be nice to, so that they can fatten up their wallet. Then if you smart off or whatever the hell, there are some of them that are better than others. Some of them are nicer than others and appreciate what you're doing, and other people, they can treat anybody any way they want to, and go ahead, smack me in the head or whatever the hell, or that'll be the last thing you ever do. Yeah, we'll have the cops come and throw you in a cage and Plus, well, you'll be destitute. You'll never get a job anywhere ever, yeah, you got that scenario too. Everybody in a hierarchy wants to treat anybody any way they want to, speak to people any way they want to, talk down to them any way they want to, and in some cases maybe hoping that you punch them out so that you could, get thrown in a cage or whatever too. Or then maybe they want to just hire machines and robots and they don't have to do anything for any human beings. They can fatten up their wallets. But yet, you got to create jobs for some people to have occupations so that they can afford to consume. Like the late George Carlin said, this is like, it's all consumption. Just like John Carpenter's They Live, consume, obey. But if people you don't give anybody decent jobs somehow, or give somebody some capacity somehow, all these people want to fatten up our wallets and they want everybody else to be consumers, but how are other people going to be consumers, if they can't even afford to buy anybody's shit? So somebody's got to know that shit too. You can go all day talking about that,